I don't actually remember the first time I met John Lewis, but I won't forget the last.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Hold on to your family. Lay low.
I was blessed to meet John on multiple occasions, but the three that really stand out in particular. My mom and John Lewis go back quite a ways, back to 1961 and the Freedom Rides. And there's a story of John, the first time he ever had Chinese food was at Paul Dietrich's restaurant the night before he and others left on the buses. And the joke is that here they were having this all-expense paid vacation, riding buses through the South. This was not real civil rights work. Of course, the attacks in Rock Hill and the bus bombings and further attacks in Birmingham and Montgomery changed all that. One of my memories of John is at a conference in Washington, D.C. with NCSS. He was the keynote speaker. After John spoke, in this room of several thousand people, we were able to go and see him real quick before he got off the stage and went to go sign some books. And he sees my mother and waves her over and says, "I need a hug." And that was just the friendship they had. And then he took me aside and I said, "You take care of your mother." It'd be a couple years later, in the 50th anniversary of the commemoration of Dr. King's assassination, and at an evening event in a crowded, just really packed room, my mom and I enter, and she says, "Well, where's John at?" And I said, "Well, let me go find out." So as I work across the room, and I come upon John and Bernard Lafayette, and John waves me over, takes my hand and pulls me in and says, "Where's your mother?" I said, "Well, hi John, how are you doing?" I said, she knows that you're here. She's coming, John, don't worry." Well, John actually had to get ready to get on stage. He was part of a discussion and a panel, and my mom makes it over, but we can't find him at that point because he's backstage. And she goes to try to see if she can go say hi to him real quick before he gets on, and the security guards won't let her through. But as I'm standing there kind of watching, waiting to see what she's doing, Michael Eric Dyson turns around, sees my shirt, and says, "I know that woman." Now I was wearing my mother's mugshot. And I said, "Well, yeah, she's right behind you." And he turns around and, "Joan, how are you doing?" She said, "Well, I'm trying to see John." And they won't let me through. And Michael Eric Dyson says, no, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. So he lets her through, and they get their moment together. The last time I saw John was early this spring on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. He had appeared earlier at a couple of different events during this 2-day sojourn, but he was able to make it across that bridge as we marched to the top of the bridge, the ceremonial march. And on one side was my mother, and the other side of me was Joanne Blackman Bland, who also has a memory of John.
I'm standing on the last piece of the original cement where the march from Selma to Montgomery left from. Bloody Sunday, March 7, 1965. And I've been fighting to save it because I think it's important that this history was bad. So I have to find a way to connect the children to it without just pointing out here and say that's where, that's where the march left from. Big deal, they just see another empty space, right? But I bring the children here, and I stand them here, and I instruct them, pick up a rock. Then I make them hold it up in the air and say, and then I identify at least 3 of them. "Oh, that's John Lewis's rock." You do know who John Lewis is, right? Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't. Gives me a teaching opportunity. Oh, John Lewis was a congressman, is a congressman now, but I knew John Lewis 54 years ago when he stood on that same rock you're holding. He was the president of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinator Committee. Look at you holding that history in your hand. You must be a history maker too. And you feel like you can't do anything, go pick up that rock and hold it in your hand and take from it the strength of the ordinary people who stood on that same rock and made history that not only changed this little town, but America. And then get up off your behinds and do something about it. Is that clear? And they all answer, yes, ma'am.
It's quite a moment to be on that bridge. Mario Hardwick was there, Ruby Bridges, again, Joanne, and multiple luminaries of the civil rights movement. You kind of felt that this was the last time John was going to march, but you kind of hoped that there would be more. My camera, I didn't know how much memory I had left in my camera, so I just stuck it up and started recording. And these are the last words that I heard John speak.
Love you, John.
Good morning. Good morning. It is good to be in Selma, Alabama one more time.
All right.
All right. On this bridge.
Yes.
Just a few short years ago, a few of the children of God, Jim Lawson, started on a journey inspired by individuals like you, Martin Luther King Jr., and the saints of old, to take a little walk, to try to dramatize the need for the rights of all our people to be able to participate in the democratic process. In an orderly, peaceful, non-violent fashion.
We're going to miss you, John. If you truly want to honor what he did, what he stood for, vote. Vote.